Okay, and welcome to Mr. Yusuf's class. I hope you will be enjoying this presentation. Today, we're going to talk about presenting a summary of a statistical project. This project is due next week. As you know, we have been studying about statistics for the last several weeks. Now it's your turn to engage and produce a project which will show that you understood and know the skills in these objectives. And statistics is about using data to answer questions. As you have seen in the past several lessons, as well as today's lesson, a statistical study involves the following four-step investigative process. The first step is pose a question that can be answered by data. And then step 2, collect appropriate data. Step 3, summarize the data with graphs and numerical summaries. And finally, step 4 is to answer the question posed in step 1 using the numerical summaries and graphs. Now, it's your turn to be a researcher and to present your own statistical study. In your project, you have to pose a statistical question, collect the appropriate data, summarize the data with graphs and numerical summaries, and finally answer your statistical question using the numerical summaries and graphs. In order to get full credit for your project, you should describe the following points. And I'm going to show you and share with you this table here. And look at this column, it shows you points to consider and notes to include in your presentation. The first is you have to describe your statistical question. What kind of question you're going to come up, and then you write here the question itself. And number 2, explain to your audience why you are interested in this question. Why did you choose this question? And step 3, explain the plan you use to collect the data. As you know, you have to collect the data, so you have to have a plan to collect that data. Explain how you organize the data you collected. And number 5, explain the graphs you prepared for your presentation and why you made these graphs. And number 6, explain what measure of center and what measure of variability you selected to summarize your study. Explain why you selected these measures. And step 7, describe what you learned from the data. Be sure to include an answer to the question from step 1. Okay, I'm going to share my project as a sample for yours so that you know what to do. And grade 6 students were collecting data for a math class project. They decided that they would survey the other 2 grades and grade 6 class grades to determine how many DVDs each student owns. So that's my statistical question. A total of 38 students were surveyed. The data are shown in the table below in no specific order. Create a project based on this data. What are some observations that can be made from the data display? Find the mean, mode, minimum, maximum, range, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and median. Create a histogram, box plot, and dot plot. Finally, describe the 7 points in the above table using the same format as the table. Now, here's the data I collected. And how I collected is I went to the students and asked each question how many DVDs they own. And I collected all the data using this table. My first step is to put the data I collected by interviewing the 2 6th grade students, asking them how many DVDs does each student own in order from the least to the greatest, in order to find the mean, mode, minimum, maximum, range, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and the median. So here's the data, which actually, if you look here, I put in order from the least to the greatest. So the least number of DVDs student hours is 2. The maximum number of student hours is 39. So here is, and the number of students I interviewed, the total number of students who were interviewed were 38. The mean, in order to find the mean, which equals the sum of all the numbers divided by the number of data. So we have, if you add up all these numbers, 668, and then you divide 38, that equals 18, approximately. That means the average student owns 18 DVDs. Mode is the most repeated number in the data, which are 12 and 15. If you look here, 12, we have how many 12s? 3, and 15, how many 15s? 3s. That are the most repeated numbers in this data. The minimum is 2 and the maximum is 39. Range is maximum minus minimum, which is 39 minus 2, 37. Median is the average of the two middle numbers of the data. So quartile 1 and equals 15.5, which is the same as the median. I mean quartile 2. Quartile 1 equals 11 plus 11 is the last quarter of numbers, and the middle two, you add this 11 plus 11, and that's divided by 2, that's 11. And quartile 3 is the last quarter, the median is 25 plus 25, and if you divide by 2, that's 25. Now, to build the histogram, I need to create the frequency table using 5 intervals. So that's 0, 9, 10 to 19, 20, 29, and 30, 39. And here is my table. Please see here, see the attached paper for the histogram graph of the above data. The histogram shows the distribution of the number of DVDs owned by the grade 6 students interfered within the interval selected for this data set. So you're gonna read all this, and also the dot plot graph you will see as well. For the box plot, please see the attached paper as well. So I'm going to describe the questions, points to consider, notes to include your presentation, as I will share with you this table. You have to fill out all this information using and the results you found from the project. So my statistical question is, how many DVDs does typical grade 6 student own? So number 2, I'm interested in finding an answer to this question in order to know the trend of DVDs ownership of my classmates. Number 3, my plan for collecting data to answer my question was by personal interviewing and asking grade 6 students how many DVDs they owned. 4, let me explain how I organized my data and prepared my samples. I listed the data I found in order from least to the greatest, calculate the mean, median, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, found the minimum and the maximum range, and did also find the frequency by choosing 4 intervals within the data. And number 5, I developed a histogram to start my statistical study because I got a large data, but I also create dot plots as well as box plots to see the variability of the data. I selected the mean and the median as the measure of center because they clearly show how many DVDs a typical grade 6 student owned. I also used the quartiles as well as the range to see the variability of the ownership of the DVDs of my students. Let me tell you the answer to my statistical question is that an average grade 6 student in my school owns about 15 to 16 DVDs. However, there is variability of 2 to 39 in terms of individual students' DVD ownership. Most of the students owned between 10 and 19 DVDs. So this is the summary of my project. You're gonna work as groups, and in order to get full credit, each group will have, and each member of the group has to be involved in the presentation, in collecting the data, in analyzing the data, and coming up and the final presentation. And remember, your parents as well as the admin and other teachers will be present in the classroom when you're presenting your data. So you have to make sure that each one of you will take turns, and also the time limit is going to be 10 to 15 minutes. And thank you for your time and your involvement. Thank you very much.